We've circled back to another UFC Mexico card. This one, Lona Kavanagh versus, or Loney, however the fuck you say it, versus Brandon Moreno. This card is fucking horrendous, and there's a lot of huge favorites, and I'm probably going to be taking all of them. Don't get your hopes up. I am going to be breaking down every single fight on this card, giving my prediction. Let's get straight into it. First up on the card, we have Wes Schultz versus Damian Penis. Yeah, his name's literally Penis. I'm going to be taking Penis here. Hopefully one day I don't get too popular and no one clips that. You know what? We're taking Penis today. I'll just call him Damien for now. Damien he's primarily a knockout artist from what I can tell. At range, he will throw out calf kicks. He will throw out jabs just to kind of stay at bay. But then once they do get into the pocket, he does unload in combination. On the other side of things, Wes Schultz is kind of just a spaz. There's no real thought behind anything that he really throws. Everything is kind of just in flurries trying to overwhelm you, which can work at times, which is kind of why this fight is a little bit of a car crash waiting to happen. On the ground, I would say that Wes probably does have the edge. He floats a little bit better through transitions. That wrestling base, his submission threat is just a little bit higher. From what I can tell, I think that it's just too much of a long shot to say that Wes Schultz is going to be able to pull out some sort of a spinning attack or a flying knee or get the, whatever it's called, the Suloyev stretch like he did on the Contender Series. It's just too much of a long shot to me, and I think that Damien is just a little bit more calculated, especially on the feet. I think his takedown defense it's okay. It's not good. I wouldn't say it's bad either. I think he's going to be able to keep it on the feet. I think he is going to be able to connect on one of his flurries that he throws. So I think he gets a TKO. I have it happening in round number 1. Moving on from that. Up next on the card, we have Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. I am going to take Francis Marshall in this one. I believe he is also a pretty heavy favorite in this. Francis Marshall is a wrestler. He has a wrestling background, but his stand-up is actually decent too. He has actually a pretty big athletic advantage in most of the fights that he goes into. He's explosive. He actually has a decent gas tank as well, and he mixes in things well. He mixes in his 2 into like blast double legs, which primarily is the way that he gets guys down, is through that sequence. Eric Silva is not good. He is not good at fighting. He hasn't fought, or he hasn't won since I think like 4 or 5 years ago. In the past 3 or 4 years, he's fought maybe once or twice. Actually twice, because I remember him losing 2 times, and I'm pretty sure those are his only 2 fights in the past 4 years. Nothing he does is really impressive to me. He kind of just sits and waits a lot of times, and he's kind of helpless when he gets to the ground. I can recall a few times where he has gotten to the ground and he's been absolutely helpless. He kind of just gets swarmed when they do get to the ground, so I think Francis Marshall is going to be able to work in the takedowns and get a submission here. I just don't trust anything that Eric Silva brings to the table. I mean, his regional scene stuff, not impressive at all. And now he's somehow in the UFC. I mean, his Contender Series fight looked good at the time because it was a big finish on the ground and pound the guy out. But since then, we've seen him once every 2.5 years, and the guy just gets ran through every time. You can't trust that. I'll take Francis Marshall. I think he gets it done by submission. I don't trust the ground game of Eric Silva. I think Francis Marshall will probably get a finish, maybe by ground and pound, or maybe an arm triangle, rear naked choke, something of that nature, in the first or second round as well. Ernesta Caricati, I have no idea how to say it, versus Regina Turin. I'm going to take Regina Turin. This was actually pretty recent from what I remember. I think this got booked like a few days ago, because we had so many pullouts for this matchup. Turin's actually a pretty highly touted prospect for women's MMA. She actually has pretty high finishing ability as well, which is pretty rare in women's MMA. Primarily comes from the stand-up game. She mixes up her weapons pretty well. A lot of it comes through the hands, not so much with the kicks. But she has a nice counter right hand. She has decent pocket boxing, where on the other side of things, with Ernesta is what I'll call her, I guess, there hasn't been anything that's really wowed me. She has basically 0 finishing ability whatsoever. Kind of just sits on the back foot, throw out a few low kicks here and there, but for the most part, a lot lot of it is just waiting to get sparked up. I have not been impressed with anything that she's done. She is a striker, so, who knows? Maybe the experience of her being in the UFC for a little while does get to Regina Turin, but I doubt it, to be honest. So I'll take Regina Turin. I'm not going to spend very long on this one. I'm going to move on from it, but I'll take Turin. I'll take her by dominant decision, 30-27. Up next from that, we have Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. This one's kind of a toss-up, actually. I'm going to take the old man in Andrade. Javier Reyes is not good, dude. He's extremely sloppy. He basically just tries to overwhelm you. He's one of those guys who fight and you're like, all right, that guy was doing a line of coke before he walked out. There's no way that guy's not on drugs, because he literally just tries to overwhelm you with every single tool that he has in bursts and try to get you out of there. And there's nothing educated behind it either. It's not like he's trying to get to a specific spot or a specific angle. It's all just kind of flurries that he's praying connect. In which case, Andrade, he does move backwards in a straight line when he is getting kind of overwhelmed like that, which is a little bit of a worry. But when he does get his back to the cage, he is able to circle off and he'll reset back in the center. And he actually is decently well-rounded. Typically, he is a striker who is kind of going to stay on the back foot and poke. I do worry a little bit about the takedown defense. That is kind of his biggest weak point, I would say, is that he can get taken down. Javier Reyes has only beaten cans. And now he's coming to the UFC against a guy who has beaten actually his fair share of UFC level competition. I'm not going to trust the fact that you've beaten a guy that's 9-4 or 13-9 or 6-4. Like, he's literally beating guys with these records: 16-9, 9-4, 0-1, 1-1. Like, he's beating nobodies. I think that skill gap, even though it is Douglas de Silva Andrade and he's not very good, it's still UFC level competition. I don't think that Javier Reyes is there yet. I just don't think he's calculated. I think he's kind of just a spaz, and I don't think it'll get him anywhere, to be honest. Who knows? Maybe he does line one up and Andrade moving backwards in a straight line gets him in trouble, but I'm not going to take the chance there and expect that type of a thing to happen when he hasn't done that to anybody of any substance before. Up next, we have Christian Quinones versus Chris Matinho. I'm taking Quinones, but I don't understand how Christian Quinones is such a big favorite. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's pretty predictable when it comes to his fight style. It's kind of just hunt a knockout and hope it works out. And Matinho, I understand he fucking sucks. His reaction time is awful. It looks like he doesn't know how to parry anything. He doesn't know how to keep a high guard. He doesn't know how to circle around the cage. He doesn't know how to circle away from a guy's power hand. He doesn't know when to move back in a straight line, when to circle off. Like, nothing. There's no defensive. And a lot of it maybe is just due to the fact that he's maybe not the most athletically gifted, and he is doing like all of these drills. He just can't piece it together because he's not an athlete. I don't know what it is. At the same time, he is pretty decently durable. I think people just knowing Chris Matinho as the guy who got fucked up by Sean O'Malley, the guy that got fucked up by Malcolm Wellmaker, people just assume that he's going to get fucking flatlined in the first round because Quinones is known to just hunt for knockouts. But he is pretty fucking durable, dude. Like, he takes some pretty hard shots and is still able to walk through them. Now, from a technical standpoint, Quinones should be able to get this done pretty handedly. Maybe not by knockout. I actually have him by decision here. But I think that literally all you have to do against Chris Matinho is work off of 2 feints for literally the whole fight. Keep him at bay with a jab and don't dump your gas tank, and you win. You don't have to find a knockout shot. The guy is so hittable. You don't need to hunt for anything. It's there. I could take an untrained dude, put him in front of Chris Matinho, and he could probably land a few shots on him over a 15-minute fight. Like, that's how hittable he is. But again, Quinones, he hasn't fought in like 2 years, dude, and he's coming off back-to-back losses at that. I don't understand how he's this big of a favorite. He can wrestle at times. He kind of just doesn't, though, a lot of times. He actually does have decent takedown entries, but he doesn't really use them at a high clip. That could be a way of beating Chris Matinho. There's so many ways of beating Chris Matinho. I think that's why he's such a big favorite. But at the same time, the durability and the style that Quinones Quinones has of hunting knockouts, we could get to a spot where Quinones just dumps his gas tank early, Matinho won't go away, and then he finishes Quinones late. There is a world where that happens. I think that he should maybe be a minus 200 favorite. I'm looking at Tapology right now. It says he is a minus 800 favorite. No idea. But we'll take Quinones. I think he gets it done by decision. I think if he doesn't dump his gas tank, he mixes in takedowns like I know he can, he should be able to get this done pretty handedly. Up next, we have Macy Chiasson versus Eileen Perez. Macy Chiasson, I believe, is striker who picked up the wrestling, I think. And her wrestling is actually not bad, but it seems a lot of times she's sitting and waiting almost, which seems to be actually the theme with a lot of these fighters on this card. She kind of just sits there and waits a lot of times, and I hate that because she's so much bigger than everybody in the division, at least height-wise, and she has good teeps, she has good low kicks at range, but she almost like is afraid to use her weapons. And Eileen Perez is literally the definition of persistent, and she's going to be persistent in getting a takedown, she's going to be persistent in pushing you against the fence, and when you're on the ground and she does get you down, she's going to be persistent in trying to get your back, trying to get dominant position, actually trying to land shots. That's not a good matchup for Macy Chiasson, so I'm going to take Eileen Perez here. I think there is a possibility that she gets a rear naked choke. For the most part, it's women's MMA. You can bank on a few things in this life, and that being death, taxes, and a women's MMA fight going the distance. So I'll take Eileen Perez. I'm not going to spend too long on this one. I just think that Macy Chiasson is too passive. I think that Eileen Perez is going to be able to get the takedowns. I think that Macy's going to be too willing to roll to her back, accept bottom position, kind of get mauled down there on the ground. And I think Eileen Perez wins over 15 minutes. That's what I got for that one. Up next on the card, we have Jose Medina versus Ryan Gondra. I'm not going to spend long on this one either. Jose Medina is kind of just the bigger version of Chris Matinho. Just bad, man. Just fundamentally bad. Athletically not gifted at all. Like, so unbelievably hittable. And Ryan Gondra is literally the definition of a power puncher. Ryan Gondra's probably going to sleep Medina in the first 2 rounds. If he doesn't, again, that's the worry, is maybe Medina and Matinho are just too durable. Maybe their opponents can't land a bomb, and eventually we get to the 3rd round and they're still in there, and Ryan Gondra and Quinones are like, why the is this guy still walking at me? And somehow, some way, we get a Chris Matinho and Jose Medina win. Jose Medina doesn't know how to parry a punch. He doesn't know how to move his head. He doesn't know how to move his feet, apparently. He's literally just a heavy bag. He is a heavy bag. He doesn't move anywhere, like any part of his body. None of it moves. He's just a victim, dude. I don't know how this guy's in the UFC. The more I look at this, the more I'm like, why? How? As if the Zachary Reese fight and the Teba Gautier fight wasn't enough. Like, dude, he sucks. Get him off the roster. I mean, I'm not gonna spend any more time on this. I'm moving on. I don't care. Up next, we have Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. I'm taking Santiago Luna. I think he's actually pretty solid. He started out as grappling as his MMA base. I don't know if it was wrestling or BJJ. I'm not sure, to be honest. I believe it was wrestling, though. And since that point, he has a lot of heat in his hands. I mean, he's coming off back-to-back TKOs. So a lot of people looking at his debut fight, they probably think he's a striker and he's going to be able to get it done on the feet. I think he's going to get this done on the ground. I think it's going to be a situation where he hurts him on the feet and then is able to submit him on the ground. Angel Pacheco is a volume striker, and at that, there's not much pop in his shots at all. Like, there's not going to be much of a worry of the things coming back Santiago Luna's way. And Luna has shown that he can take a shot. He is young, and he is a little bit reckless, which does worry me. At the same time, even in his first fight against Huang Li, I'm pretty sure I remember him getting stung by a few shots and kind of just like pushing through them and eventually leading to a finish. I think it's going to be a situation like that. Angel Pacheco is unloading in combinations, landing some shots, Luna's eating him, and eventually he's able to land a bigger one, sit Pacheco down, and submit him. And I have that happening in the first round. I think that this is kind of a setup fight that the UFC is giving to Luna. I think they want the highlight reel. They want the finish. They want the notoriety. The new, young, up-and-coming Mexican guy. I think that's what they want. And I think that's kind of what everybody wants, to be honest with you. I'm taking Santiago Luna. I have him by submission. I'll take him by rear naked choke. just to make it more spicy, I guess. Up next on the card, we have Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. I'm taking Rodriguez here. Kevin Borjas is one of those guys who sits at range and he kind of teeps and he counter strikes and he jabs and he kind of wants to pull some sort of a reaction out of you and counter off of it, which could be a problem with Rodriguez if he wasn't as athletic and as explosive as he is. One of the issues with Rodriguez I noticed is he does throw a lot of naked attacks, which could get him in trouble. But against Kevin Borjas, I don't know if it is really gonna be, because a lot of the naked attacks that Rodriguez throws are off of kicks, like low kicks and stuff, which Kevin Borjas could exploit. He could leap in and throw that kind of lunging 1-2 that he throws. But Kevin Borjas has shown a susceptibility to this kind of style. It's kind of like Alessandro Costa fight almost, where guy is just super athletic and he's going to be able to swarm you, and that whole style of trying to like pull counter the guy almost, he's just not going to be as effective because you're not nearly as much of an athlete. You're not as quick. Definitely don't have as much power as Alessandro Costa or Emmanuel Rodriguez. I think Emmanuel Rodriguez gets it done. I think he gets it done by TKO. I can see it being late though, because of how passive Kevin Borjas is, and he's kind of on the back feet. He's running the whole time. Not running, but circling around the octagon, kind of picking his shots selectively. I think it could take a little while, so I'm going to take Emmanuel Rodriguez by round 3 TKO. I just think the athleticism and the styles just doesn't really work out too much here for Kevin Borjas. Do I think that Rodriguez should be a Fort minus however big of a favorite he is? No, but I guess, man. I mean, I guess that's where we are. So I'll take Rodriguez. I'll take him by TKO. Up next, we have Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunez. I'm going to take Edgar Chairez. I'm a bit reluctant to, but I'm going to take him. I think he gets a TKO here. I think he gets it done in the first 2 rounds. Felipe Bunez is just bad, dude. He is not good. He's one of those guys who has pretty solid jiu-jitsu, but he can't get to the ground. His takedown entries are not good. And Edgar Chairez has been taken down kind of almost at will before, but it's against guys who actually know how to shoot a takedown. Felipe Bunez does not have any sort of technique when it comes to shooting takedowns. I mean, the guy, he's not very like educated when it comes to actually getting to where he's good. And Edgar Chairez throws a lot into everything that he throws. And I think that if he's able to stay on the feet, that it's just going to be night and day for him in terms of the striking. That, and he's coming off a little bit of steam with the finish that he had over CJ Vergara. Though CJ Vergara isn't necessarily the best. He is entertaining, but he's not good. I like the momentum. I like the fact that Chairez should be able to stay on the feet because of how poor Bunez's takedown entries are. So we'll take Edgar Chairez. We'll take him by TKO in the first 2 rounds. Up next, we have Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. I'm gonna take Zellhuber here. I'm not happy about it because I think that these Eric Nixick guys a lot of times are so passive, and that is just like the theme of this card, it seems. He has these moments where he can extend his combination and land on a guy, and he almost like pulls his shots back. Like he doesn't fully unload like some of these combinations that he lets go, which like almost, it like pisses me off watching it, because I'm like, dude, all you gotta do, like, you have him backed up against the fence, you cut the cage off, all you have to do is extend the right hand just 1 or 2 more times and you will connect, because he has these nice teeps. He keeps guys at bay. He's long, throws in combination, and then he gets to these spots where he like doesn't fucking unload in combination fully. With a guy like Bobby Green, where his head movement is his primary defensive tactic. His head movement is good, but it's also predictable because he starts to move the exact way every single time, like Hoofy picked up on immediately. I mean, his head movement is good, but it's once you get a read on one way that he's moving for a certain feint, it's pretty easy to land on him. So I think Zellhuber is going to be able to TKO him in the 2nd round, maybe. Bobby Green gets wobbled and hurt by literally everybody. If Zellhuber extends on 1 or 2 good shots, I don't see how Bobby Green stays up. I'm going to take Zellhuber. I'm worried because it's an Eric Nixick guy that he gets passive and loses. That's, I guess, the risk I'm taking. I'll take Zellhuber by TKO. Up next on the card, we have Chito Vera versus David Martinez. I've got David Martinez here by 30-27 decision. Chito is the most passive fighter on the roster. Literally, his whole style is just weight. I mean, if he's not fighting a 45-year-old man, he kind of just doesn't do anything. I mean, even in the Dominic Cruz fight, he was getting kind of pieced up in the early rounds. David Martinez throws from all different angles, all different stances. He has tons of different attacks. He has good body kicks. And Cheeto's thing is what? Like the leaping 3-2 or just a 3. Sometimes he'll just lead in with a 3 or he'll just throw a 1-2 down the pipe. There's nothing. There's literally, he just sits there. He doesn't do anything. David Martinez is way more explosive. His cardio is through the roof. He should be able to get this done dominantly. 30-27. I don't see Cheeto getting finished. I personally think he has the best chin in the UFC of all time. I think it's pound for pound 1A, 1B. Him and Marvin Vettori. I got David Martinez. I'll take him 30-27. Main event time. Kavanagh taking on Brandon Moreno. I'm taking Brandon Moreno. I don't think that Loner Kavanagh has the ability to go 5 rounds at all. In the fight against Charles Johnson, he gassed out pretty bad. Even in the fight against Felipe dos Santos, got a little bit tired and had to work on the ground, had to work from top control. He is a very skilled guy from kickboxing range and boxing range. Actually, his pocket boxing is pretty good. He's able to leap in and spark 1-2s at a pretty high clip. His footwork is super quick. But in doing that, because everything is thrown with a lot of power and a lot of speed, he gets fucking tired, dude. I worry that if he isn't able to find a finish early against Brandon Moreno, he's just gonna gas out again, because that's all that I've seen pretty much. Is he is super impressive to watch, and his stand-up is super sharp, it's powerful, it's fast, and then it kind of takes a nosedive after the first round. The worry about Brandon Moreno is I think his chin is a little bit questionable nowadays, and he seems passive. Again, everybody on this card seems to be passive. Like, he's not unloading in these long, extended boxing combinations that he used to, which I'm not sure why, actually. It's not like he's been like flatline put out before in recent memory, at least. I mean, even the Tatsuro Taira fight, like, you could argue that the ref maybe could have let it go a little bit longer. Like, he wasn't out. He was just getting dominated. He wasn't out, though. But at the end of the day, Brandon Moreno has lots of championship experience. He's gone 5 rounds so many times. And Loner Kavanagh, from what I've seen, only has really 1 solid round in him. Brandon Moreno is open to the lead side attack of Loner Kavanagh, where that lead hook is able to get in there. That side, his defense is a little bit iffy, and I can see him getting sparked up with a leaping 3-2 from Loner Kavanagh. If he's able to get out of that, if he's able to avoid that for the first round, I can see him TKOing him, I can see him subbing him, and I can see it happening in the 3rd or 4th round. I'm taking Brandon Moreno here. I think it'll be dominant. If he does lose, it'll be by 1st or 2nd round TKO, early 2nd round at that. But yeah, that's all I got. That's the UFC Mexico card this time around. Not the best. It's really bad, but yeah. Appreciate you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you are new around here. I got videos coming out all the time. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.